I grew up on the Badalil. It was the one house on the top of the hill. Still remains the one house right on the top of the hill. Went to school in a Methodist school, so we either took the bus or my dad would drop us to school. I went to school because I had to go to school, but it wasn't something that I really liked or enjoyed doing. But I just had to go to school. I didn't do well at school, if you want to know.
Oh, you didn't do well. What do you mean by that?
I guess I did the minimum just to pass an exam, and I repeated Form 3. So that tells you how well I was doing if I repeated Form 3. And after Form 3, well, did it twice. One did a Form 4 and Form 5, and that was it, just getting ready to leave school. But the idea for me was not spending too much time in school, but getting out there, working to make it happen. We had bananas, so when it's banana day, I would carry bananas, I would get paid for it, and I would plant flowers, put them in a little black plastic pot, and sell by the road. I would pick oranges and grapefruits, put by the road and sell in trays. So really and truly, you could say that was a business because I made money out of it.
Out of St. Mary's College, where did you work? What did you do?
Oh, after St. Mary's College, you know, the first thing you do is try to get a job, so you send out 500 applications. I actually got maybe 3 responses, and those responses stated that they've received my applications and I'm on file. But I think 30, 40 years later, I'm still on file because they haven't called me back yet.
Where did you work after secondary school?
After secondary school, couldn't get a job, really, and a friend of mine, Michael Gustav, his mom had an ice cream machine, and I asked her to use it so that I could start selling ice cream, and she agreed. She even agreed that she would have given me a pickup van that she had. So we built a box on it, and then I started off selling ice cream.
What did you know about making ice cream, right?
Nothing. But, you know, everybody else was doing it on the street, and I figured the opportunity was there, so I started making ice cream. I started selling ice cream.
At that time, about how old were you?
I was about 17.
What was that like for you? You left St. Mary's College, all your other partners, they start to work, and there you are with your ice cream cart in the city.
Well, you know, generally, you know, people look down at jobs like this, or when you do stuff like that. But I was very focused. I knew what I wanted, and I knew I had to work for what I wanted. So it was nothing about pride, or it was nothing about what people thought. It was about doing what was an honest living and work for it. I bought a Jeep and I started renting it and moved on into vehicle rental, and within 2 years I had 9 vehicles. But during that time with the vehicles, you know, I automatically had to really learn auto mechanics, because anytime there was a breakdown, I had to repair it. And I learned auto mechanics during that time. During that time, I even took on other people's vehicles to repair. So I basically opened a garage at the same time while doing for myself. And I had to end up doing body work to repair it.
How did you get into bulk cars?
There was a company that called Habitat, which had closed down. And General Finance had seized the equipment. And I took on the risk, and I went and I bought it. I rented it out by doing work for people and operated myself at the time. So I repaired it as well. I operated myself.
What happens past the Bobcats?
At one time, I was traveling to St. Martin, buying VCRs, TVs. I did electronic repairs at one time. I actually had a full shop doing electronic repairs, TVs.
Slow down, Ray, slow down, slow down. Who remember have a nice script?
Yeah.
Rent Muruka. At what point in time do you start repairing stuff? And I hear you were a photographer.
Yeah, I did photography for Wellington Lawrence. That time he had a video camera. So I would go out with it, do weddings, parties, funerals.
Tell me how you expanded from renting bobcats.
From bobcats, then I bought a backhoe, which was not really good. I bought a truck. That was another problem by itself because the guy that I bought it from was owing the bank. And after I'd bought it and paid him for it, the bank came and seized it from me. And I had to pay the bank back for the same truck that I had bought from the guy. So, you know, it was ups and downs during that time. One of the jobs that I did was a job right in the junction of the Hospital Road, where there's a minibus station right now. There was one big manhole to be done there. And down there is really soft material. And the job was given to another contractor, and he subcontracted it to me. And there is fiber lines running right there with about 24 main cables that are live. And we had to build a manhole, believe the cables without removing the cables. And that proved almost impossible. During that time, engineers from England, engineers from all over the place came to try to figure out how to make it happen. And after about 2 months of they failing, because telling me what to do, I told one of the engineers, can I do what I want? And he thought about it, and the next day he said to me, yes, do what I want. The following day when he came back, what they could not have gotten done, I had done it without them around, with my ideas. And the head engineer at Cameron Wallace at that time saw how I worked and what I did, and gave me the opportunity to work with Cameron Wallace directly. And that is one of the reasons why I did a lot of work for Cameron Wallace after that, and that was the takeoff.
How did you grow from there?
I knew nothing about building construction, and one of the small contractors gave me to clean around a building before he was started. And during that time, I just said to him, out of the way, why don't you give me a job, let me supervise a job for you?
Ray,
I saw his guys wasting time.
Ray, slow down. You just said you had no construction experience.
No, absolutely not.
How you end up wanting to be a supervisor?
Because the guys were not performing. And I said to him, why don't you give me a job, let me supervise for you? And he said to me, well, how much do I have to pay you? And I said to him, you don't have to pay me. Let me do the job. And after the job is completed, if you think I'm worth to be paid, you'll give me what you think. And he said, okay. So the next day I started the job, I supervised the job. And after the first day, the contractor must have come back on the site maybe once every 2 weeks, because I'd literally taken over the job, was dealing with the engineer, the architect, and making the job happen. Before that job was completed, he got a second job, this time to build a school. And he asked me to go on it as well, and I went on the school during the time I was doing that job. But by that time, the engineer on that job realized my ability. And the third job that came around, I was called directly to do the job. So it didn't go through that contractor. I got that job, the third job.
As the contractor?
As the contractor.
Slow me down here for a second. You're not trained in engineering?
No.
Building construction?
No. Not formally trained.
Not formally trained. But you start out as a supervisor on the site. And 2 jobs on, you're called in.
Yeah, 2 jobs, and that's just about a year after. Then I'm called in to get the third job directly.
Some would say that man is your friend, so you get a favor. And somebody is making you smile and you're making them smile. So they're giving you this job. What would you say? The third job.
I bidded the job. I didn't just, it wasn't handed out. I bidded it and I got the job. But the thing about it is, they saw my ability to deliver, and that is why I was given the opportunity. However, during the construction period, concrete was a big thing. and I realized getting access to concrete from the concrete suppliers here had proven difficult, and I decided I was going to buy a concrete truck.
You have a truck, some bobcats, and a backhoe. One job under your belt, totally you. Tell me what happens next.
It evolved because I started delivering concrete to a lot of other people, continued doing backhoe work, doing trucking work, and it really evolved and took off. But I was a 24-hour man, so I worked from early in the morning till late in the night, and whatever I had to do to deliver, I delivered. So I actually would have done, like, in terms of jobs, I would actually do like 3 times the amount of work that any normal person would have done in terms of delivery, because my day ended up at 10 o'clock in the night, most times.